and answer some questions.
And we would like to thank you very much, Raphael, for a very interesting and informative presentation, and I'm sure helpful to our audience. But before we go to our Q&A session, I'd like to invite our audience to complete a short polling survey concerning the presentation and their experience with MassHunter. The poll is now open on the lower right side of your console. Please complete each question, and we thank you for taking the time to answer this survey. We do value your opinions on how Agilent can better serve you, and we welcome your feedback on our presentations. And as you are completing the survey, I would like to remind our audience that you may ask questions in two ways. Please put your question in the Q&A box addressed to presenter host, and we will answer them. Or if you prefer, you may ask a question over the phone line by pressing *1 on your touch-tone phone. Our operator will open your line so you may address your question directly to Raphael. If you wish to remove yourself from the queue, simply press #. All right, let me go to our Q&A box, and the first question is, can you import a CSV file or Excel sheet for the sequence table?
Yes, you can. Actually, we have tools that allow you to do that very easily for MassHunter sequence, that you can go ahead and create your sequence in Excel, go ahead and import it as a CSV, then XML, and it'll do that very seamlessly, so then you could take advantage of all the Excel features that you're used to and customize your sequence any way you wish.
Thank you. Our next one, do you have an idea on when the MassHunter acquisition on a 5975 will be possible?
From what I've been told, early March, you have acquisition for a 5975 MassHunter acquisition.
All right. And our next question, can we do a check tune in PCI?
Yes, you could do a check tune on PCI if you set the parameters of what you want your ratios to be for a particular mass. I'll go ahead to the check tune, and it'll tell you whether you are if you need to tune or not.
Thank you, Raphael. Before I continue, I'd like to do check with our operator, Latif. Is there anyone in the phone queue?
Show no questions in queue at this time.
All right, thank you. All right, back to our Q&A box. Can you add more fields to the sequence table?
Most definitely can. I showed you a simplified version of the sequence table. You could add and subtract if you want to have a dilution factor, a multiplier, or more fields in your sequence table. You could definitely have those available, and they will ship with the product. I mean, that's a feature, of course.
Okay. Is MassHunter a good upgrade for single quad MSD?
For single quad MSD, definitely so. If you want to take advantage, as we'll look at the qualitative and quantitative analysis packages in our next series, you will see the enhanced flexibilities and capabilities of MassHunter, and I believe that you will like it. Even whether you've been using MassHunter for a year, 5 or 10 years, you will see that the features in MassHunter and qualitative and quantitative analysis will be very beneficial and will make your lab that much more productive.
Thank you, Raphael. Can we import our existing methods in ChemStation to MassHunter?
Yes, you can. In terms of your acquisition methods and your quant tables, you could definitely do that. We have converters that do that, and it takes about a second per data file if you want to convert a method or a data file from ChemStation to MassHunter format very easily.
Our next question, can calibrating the column in the GC parameters section with a shorter column length take place with RT locking?
In order to have adequate retention time locking, you must calibrate your columns to ensure that that the instrument knows what columns you have, and the reason is because the way the electronic pneumatic control modules operate is they use the calculated length in your columns to determine what flow to provide to the inlet and your columns as well. So it is essential that for maximum retention time locking benefits that your columns are calibrated, and it just takes a few seconds to do so.
Right. Will MassHunter acquisition do simultaneous SIM scan?
Yes. When acquisition will be available for $59.75, you will be able to do SIM scan simultaneously. But definitely so.
Thank you, Raphael. There are many questions, which indicates the level of interest. So
that's great.
We're both thrilled. How can I determine the scan time in MS1 and MRM?
To determine the scan time in MS1 and MS mode, what I would do is use the rule that I mentioned to have about between 3 and 5 cycles per second, and you could adjust it to those times, whether it is 50 milliseconds or 100 or 75, whatever the combination that it takes to make that number of cycles per second between 3 and 5.
Right. How long? What is the lowest purge septum flow acceptable in the inlet?
Well, you can have it off if you want to do that. You could definitely have it off to 0, I guess.
Just give me 1 second. There's so many questions in the Q&A box, and I want to make sure that I haven't neglected the chat box. Okay, one question which I can answer is, they're asking for a link for the slides. There will be a recording link sent to you for the presentation once it's posted on the Agilent Lead site. Okay, and here's a question concerning MassHunter and ChemStation. Can you summarize the advantages of MassHunter versus ChemStation?
The advantages is that you will take advantage of all the latest Windows developments. In terms of ChemStation, if you're happy with the ChemStation, you could go ahead and continue to use it, not a problem. However, the future of Agilent GCMS software is MassHunter, and there will be much more features available in terms of flexibility, ease of analyzing data, setting up methods, and just creating a simplified workflow that MassHunter will make your labs more productive, essentially.
All right, another question in the chat box. I have a multi-mode sampler. How do I disable some of the functions, like mixing? Disable mixing from the ALS tab in GC Control doesn't seem to work.
Okay, I could answer that question offline, but then send you the response. But essentially, there's a button in the configuration of the ALS. They could go ahead in configuration ALS, and you'll be able to uncheck the box for mixing. If you have an auto sampler that has that mixing and barcode capabilities, you can go ahead and turn those off.
All right. How does EMV change with different gain?
Well, there's a gain curve that it's applied to the instrument, and you can definitely see that during tuning. You can see how it changes. Typically, a gain of 10 is roughly equivalent to about 200 delta EMV, roughly.
Thank you, Raphael. I don't think I've asked this before, but what is the lowest septum flow acceptable in the inlet?
Oh, I believe we asked that earlier. It was 0, I believe. Set it off, or you can set it to a constant value. Most people keep it at a constant value of about between 1 and 3 mils per minute of helium.
Thank you. My apologies. I thought it sounded vaguely familiar. Is the check tune button available on older versions of the software?
In terms of MassHunter acquisition software, check tune has been available ever since version 4, I believe, of MassHunter acquisition, and we're currently on version 6. So definitely it's available in older version of the software. And you may want to check what version you have. If you haven't, you can want to upgrade if you do currently have MassHunter and you do not have the check tune box available.
Right. Will MassHunter acquisition be available in both 32-bit and 64-bit versions?
That's a great question, and I'll have to defer at this time because I don't want to give any erroneous information. I know that qualitative and quantitative analysis only operate in 64-bit versions, so I'll be presuming that acquisition is only 64, but I'll double check on that and get back to the particular user on that one.
All right.
Brian, I'll get.
Will there be a presentation for creating MRM method?
We could definitely do that as part of our advanced topics. So please continue to log on to our e-webinar series, MassHunter Bootcamp, and we'll show you as many tips and tricks available to make you more productive in your laboratories.
All right, and this next question applies again to the 64-bit. Which platform is MassHunter on? Is it Windows 7 or is it upgradable?
It's on Windows 7, and we'll know more about what platforms will be supported sometime in March.
Right. And let me... Okay, I need to go back to the chat box now. I worry about overwriting my data in ChemStation. Are there any safeguards for overwriting data in MassHunter?
In terms of overwriting your data, you have the ability to always have your raw data files available. If you make changes to that file, you can go ahead and not save the changes that you made so that they do not override. So you do have the safety measures available that ask you, are you sure you want to make certain changes before you exit and things of that nature. So in terms of overriding, you definitely have those capabilities to not do that if you don't want to do that. If you do want to override, you can. Obviously not if you have secured versions, compliant versions of MassHunter that did not allow you to override data files at all.
Thank you, Raphael. We're keeping you busy this morning or this afternoon.
Most definitely.
All right.
Keep them coming.
All right. Will MassHunter acquisition be compatible with the 5971 mass spec?
At this time, to the best of my knowledge, the rollout will begin with the 5975 mass spec, and I don't see, not that I know of, plans to roll it in the near future to roll it out to a 5971 in terms of acquisition. However, you could go ahead and convert your 5971, 73, and 75 data files and quant methods and take advantage of MassHunter Qual and Quant today. You can do that today, actually.
And the next one, Raphael, is kind of a follow-up to that. Is there a list of instruments that can be upgraded to MassHunter? And it sounds like you just gave some that could and couldn't. Correct.
There'll be a software compatibility matrix available, and you can speak to your product specialist. They'll be able to give you more information on that. So please feel free to reach out to your GCMS product specialist in your area to answer that particular question for your particular needs, because it's going to be a very comprehensive matrix of what we do have a list. To be more specific, the product specialist will be able to help you there.
All right, and the same person was asking about the cost to upgrade from ChemStation to MassHunter, and I assume that's the same sort of answer that he will talk with his Agilent rep concerning that.
That's correct. Product specialists will be able to give you all the details in terms of costs associated with transforming your lab and taking advantage of the MassHunter platform for your laboratory.